to our second main topic today, which isn't much of a topic, but something that I wanted to talk about. Because Shane, last night, and I haven't even told you this, so let's get your face up on camera so the camera can see you when I tell you.
Okay.
For the first time in my existence of 30 years, I watched from beginning to end Pulp Fiction.
Really?
Yeah.
You watched Pulp Fiction?
I did.
What did you think? Oh my God.
I did. I want to say this, and I definitely want to cut this little spot that I'm going to do into its own video for my review of Pulp Fiction. And I'll start it with this. Here's my review of Pulp Fiction. So, Pulp Fiction, I cannot believe, Shane, that so many people love this movie.
It's so good. It is so good.
It is good if it was about an hour less than what it is. There is so much unnecessary things in this movie. There's so many good things about the movie. There's performances that are great. I mean, Samuel Jackson is amazing. It really stood out to me. I really forget how great of an actor that dude really is. But that's what really stood out to me. Also, a guy that's become kind of a joke, John Travolta, right?
Oh, yeah?
I think his last 10 or 15 films have all been 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like a record. And he's become kind of a joke, but man, God, he was good. He was really good. He was like the best that I've ever seen him. So again, lots of really great things about it. My biggest complaint was, first of all, way too much dialogue, way too much talking, way too much trying. You know how we often talk about, Shane, how, like I was saying with Black Adam, that it felt like we were checking boxes, right? This felt like he was doing that. Like, oh, we have to bring in race, and we have to bring in, But you realize those boxes didn't exist when that movie came out. But it felt so... I mean... Come on. I mean, it was on the head with a hammer so much that it was just like, okay, I get it. I get what you want. I get what you're going for. But at the same time, it felt very drawn out, and it was very disjointed, very disconnected. Absolutely. I understand it's supposed to be that way. But again, it's just like I told you before, if you're a chef and you serve me up food and it tastes like shit, and I'm like, hey, it tastes like shit. And you're like, well, I made it to taste that way. Yeah, it still tastes like shit, and I don't like it. You could say my palate's not refined, cool, but it is what it is. This is what I taste. And the part that really, the one word I would say that I take away from this movie is just disappointed, because I seen so much potential for this movie to be good, but it just dragged on, and it felt like the movie wanted to talk to me more than it, or explain to me things than it wanted to actually do something. And I got to be honest, there was at least 2 to 3 moments where I almost shut it off. I was so close. Now, I will say this. What was cool about those moments is it was almost like it was meant to be that way, because right when I was just disinterested and there was too much talking, a topic or a subject or something would come up that I would be like, okay. For example, there's the scene where they're talking over dinner. The main drug dealer's wife that he took out to dinner, right? And they're talking at dinner. It's just, who gives a shit? You order a $5 shake. I've never seen a $5 shake, and all this shit that I could give no fucks about at all. Let me ask you this: what's the movie about? But then, hold on. But then, right when I literally was like, all right, I'm about to tune this. I'm about to pause this, and I'm gonna have to finish it another time. She comes back to the table and she was like, did you think of anything to talk about? Which is so ironic, right? Because that's how I felt as an audience member. Do you have something to give me besides just this nonsense between your characters that I don't really like enough to just want to see, or know enough to just want to see have dinner? And then he's like, hey, and then he brings up the girl or the guy that gave you the foot massage that got thrown out of the window. Is that true? Now I'm back. You got me back right now. I'm interested. intrigued. Okay, what's this? How did all that? Because that stuff in the beginning was what really hooked me in. The interactions between Samuel Jackson and John Travolta, the stuff about the foot massage. You can't give, I'll give my mama a motherfucking foot massage. It's like, listen, man, you can't give a lady a foot. Like, their opinions on it were great. Their little banter about it was great. And then that connected into this, and that moment, it drew me back in. And I'm like, okay, I want to know more, because I liked that moment before. But yeah, for me, it was just disappointing and too disjointed. That beginning thing, I was shocked that was Tim Roth. I'm like, damn, how old is Tim Roth? Like 10? And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the main drug dealer, was that Ving Rhames? Or
yeah, Ving Rhames.
Yeah, I mean, he looks crazy young. I mean, Samuel Jackson never looked so
super skinny,
right? Yeah, so
remember in Goodfellas?
I will say this, it was very interesting to see all of those. I mean, the list goes on and on in that movie too. There's tons of big names in there. I did think it was funny. I felt very M. Night Shyamalan when I seen that he decided to write himself into the script just so he could say the N-word a couple of times.
I think it's like 100 times just himself says it.
Yeah, and I felt that a lot too, you know. I've heard that a lot of criticisms about him lately, about how he is always implementing that, right.
Yeah.
And it felt like that for sure. It felt like, again, a lot of boxes he was trying to check to show what was going on, and parts of the world at the time, like you said, were probably not known about, the Gimp dude and stuff like that, or all kinds of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's disappointing. I think you were wanting something that it wasn't. I think you were waiting for a plot to happen.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah. It's a movie. I wanted a story. Tell me a story. That's what I'm here for.
I almost wish we weren't having this conversation, because I hate standing up for Tarantino. I'm a Tarantino hater, but that film is a top 100 greatest films of all time. It not only is it so well made, and contextually it's so important, but I mean, it's exactly what it's supposed to. It's an anti-movie. There's no plot. I mean, what's it about? What do you tell your friends it's about? Like you said, conversations. It's that realism that it's just, I love it. But again, I'm not going to stand here and stick up for the guy.
So that being said, after I finished it, I had the overwhelming thought of, do I like Quentin Tarantino movies? Do I even freaking like Quentin Tarantino movies?
Pulp Fiction changed you.
And I went through his filmography, and I'm going to be 1,000% honest. I am in the minority on these opinions. But guys, Quentin Tarantino is not that great of a director to me. He has not directed anything that stands out to me as like a top. You know what? Maybe top 100.
Oh,
maybe
for sure.
But definitely not a top 10, 20 films. Nothing he's ever made is that great, and nothing he's ever made did I love as a fan.
You still haven't seen Reservoir Dogs.
I have not.
And that's it is non-linear, which I love about it. Those two are the two films, and then I like Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown's okay.
Yeah.
But Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, those are the two that I would say made him as a great director, while I consider him a top 50 greatest directors of all time. Those two films and nothing else.
Right. And I'm looking at, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I've seen. And honestly, out of everything I've seen, I've never seen Django yet either.
Django's pretty good.
Out of everything I have seen, I would probably say Hateful Eight was my favorite.
Ouch.
And even that, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's very dialogue heavy too. All his stuff is very dialogue heavy, and very, I don't know. I just wasn't the biggest fan. But yeah, what I want to talk about, moving on. That's, by the way,
second topic today.
That, guys, is my review on Pulp Fiction. But yeah.
I wonder how many followers we just lost.
So moving on, I have an article here from Variety. I'm sorry. Yes, coming to us from Variety, where Quentin Tarantino did an interview. And this is with everyone, it seems like, Shane. All these directors that are all high and mighty and above all of us, not great high and mighty filmmakers, have said in the past that they're not interested in doing something for Marvel or in the MCU. And in this particular case, he said, as you see in the headline here, Quentin Tarantino says Marvel directors are, quote, hired hands, so he won't join the MCU. Quote, I'm not looking for a job. This is a very interesting thing. I want to read the exact quote that he said here. You have to be hired hand to do those things, quote. Tarantino said of Marvel movies, I'm not a hired hand. I'm not looking for a job. The analogy works because it's similar to a chokehold about a superhero movies dominating the industry these days in the same way musicals did in the past. He goes on to say, of course, I like Star Wars. What's not to like? But remember that it's not a but in a negative way, but in a good way. The movie completely carried me along, and I was just rocking and rolling with these characters. Again, this is in reference to Star Wars. When the lights came on, I felt like $1 million, and I looked around and had this moment of recognition thinking, wow, what a time at the movies. He continued to say, now, that's not necessarily my favorite or exact type of film. At the end of the day, I'm more of a close encounters of the third kind of guy. Just the bigger idea and Spielberg setting out to make an epic for regular people, not just cinephiles. Few films had the kind of climax that Close Encounters had. It blew audiences away. Now, here's what I want to say. What interests me about this is a couple things. I say this, Shane, all the time. I hate to see another fellow filmmaker disrespecting or talking bad about other fellow filmmakers. At the end of the day, you are calling Ryan Coogler and you're calling James Gunn and you're calling the Russo brothers and you're calling them all hired hands, man.
Well, I like the analogy to musicals. If he would have said that about musicals, would you agree with that take then? If he didn't say superheroes, if he kept the analogy musicals, hey, musicals have a chokehold on the industry. I mean, would you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
Do musicals have a chokehold on the industry?
Well, let's say it's the 1960s and they did. I mean, he'd be dissing those directors too. We don't have a problem him dissing the directors of, Sound of Music. I mean, he's doing that in this interview, and we're not like, whoa, Sound of Music.
Well, this is Screen Talk Live. We're here talking about things on your screen. We're not talking about live musical performances. I could give a damn about a live musical performance.
No, he's talking about like movie musicals, like Oliver and Sound of Music.
Okay, yeah. I see
Mary
what we're
Poppins.
talking about. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a point in the 60s where that like every studio, that was their big budget film, was that we got to put out this musical and it's going to make or break us.
Sure, and I totally understand that. But here's my thing is that again, these are your fellow filmmakers, and at the end of the day, I think you keep your opinions to yourself on these kind of things. And I think as a guy who makes films in this industry and people go out and see his films for the most part, Tarantino should say, as I've always said, with what's the guy that made The Irishman?
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, Scorsese and all the other people that want to badmouth Marvel and their creators and all those things is what you should say is, I'm happy that people go out and see them.
But they're not happy. People go. That's the whole point.
But you should be happy that they go out and see it, because your movie wouldn't be able to exist if people didn't go out and see it.
That was Scorsese's whole point. He wasn't bashing Marvel. He was bashing audience members for supporting Marvel movies.
He was bashing me.
Exactly.
Well, fuck you, Martin Scorsese. Eat a dick, man. Because at the end of the day,
you didn't like Pulp Fiction.
What I like is what I like. It's art. It's subjective. I can't help what I like. And to tell me that I'm wrong for liking something, it just feels like you're ignorant to me.
The thing is, calling this stuff art is like saying that, man, you're dissing Looney Tunes. That's art, man. And it's like, yeah, a little bit, but when you're talking about Picasso,
listen, I don't view life that way. That's like viewing, like saying, well, I'm good and I'm successful. Yeah, but there's Elon Musk. So no, I don't compare myself to everyone else and everything else. Art is art is art. Art is art, whether it's an amusement park ride or whether it's me getting ready to go to the bathroom and take a shit. Right. It's still art at the end of the day. And what I like when I see it and what you like when you see it is always always not going to be the same. But for me to say, well, you should like it or you shouldn't like it is just wrong.
No one's saying you should or shouldn't.
But to say you're stupid or you're dumb for liking it, or I'm a sheep is the exact kind of quote.
You can agree that if you went to college for a fine arts scholarship to get your degree in fine arts, there's certain art that's probably not going to be taught. That's kind of lowbrow. You're probably going to teach
sure, Shane. But when he or you even went to learn those things. This didn't exist. This new era of movie going did not exist 20 years ago, Shane.
Sure.
So
there were still bad movies, though.
So it's so different. I mean, so what are the kids being taught today?
So,
it's probably way different, right? I bet there's a lot more of this being implemented, right? Because things have evolved.
That's where the jobs are.
The movie going experience has evolved. And something he said that I actually like that he said, Scorsese, was that I compare them more to amusement park rides. It's more of an event. And I say that all the time. It is. But guess what, Shane and Martin Scorsese or whoever else, that's what the movies have evolved into. That's what the theater experiences have turned into. The reason the movies continue to exist is because so many people go out every year to see those big,
I'm not arguing that,
epic
but
things. So,
I think
but as a creator,
I think you're taking a leap calling it art. I mean, to me, art must have intention. I mean, like you said, you could take a dump and call it art, but is it really art?
But
is anyone really going to get a message out of it? I mean, to me,
but again, that's not fair for you to say.
If there's art is whenever
I'm
a
sitting
creator
here across
is
from you and
creating
saying
something to express something. What's Marvel expressing?
But all kinds of things, all kinds of things.
Projections.
That's not fair, and that I don't think it works that way. And if I view that I am getting those things from it, that I am getting a story, that I am getting, and you don't, that's okay. We can have these separate opinions,
and I
they
also
still
believe
both be true.
Yeah, and I respect your opinion. I love arguing with you.
For sure.
I also believe art needs to be created by an artist. And I wouldn't consider any of the Marvel movies having a singular artist.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
They have to be like, hey, this ties into this. This ties into this. You can't do that.
Art doesn't have to be created by an artist.
Here.
My daughter isn't an artist, and she draws and paints all the time.
Sounds like she's an artist.
And no, but we all are artists, man.
Yeah,
We're all artists. So to say that is
my analogy would be like, so you take your daughter down and you're like, okay, sit down and draw a car. And so she draws a car. No, I want it pink. Okay, so it's pink. Oh, but I want spinning wheels. So it's doing that. So she hands you that picture. Is that art now that she gave you? It sounds like it's hired work that I just told
Shane, you once told me that most of the best artwork ever done was commissioned. It was all hired work.
That's true, Michelangelo.
Right, you told me this, Shane.
Damn it.
So
yeah, but I would still put Picasso on a level higher than Michelangelo because it's personal. I completely
and totally understand that. But what I'm saying is that's how you feel, Shane. And if I say, hey, Jackson Pollock is the greatest artist ever made, or that ever made art, then so be it. It could be Bob Ross to me. It could be Satan to you. But the point is to tell me that my opinion, whether it be Bob Ross or Vincent Van Gogh or whoever, to tell me that my opinion is askew or a sheep-like opinion or anything negative is wrong. It's because, again, opinions are like assholes. We all have one. And we all have the right to feel how we feel. And I think if we're all being genuine, and I know we are because we're friends sitting across from each other. And if we're genuine, then I think that, it's easier to accept how someone feels. So if I say, hey, man, I didn't like Pulp Fiction, I'm not just saying that to be the dude that's like, hey, I don't like Pulp Fiction. I meant it. I want to enjoy everything I watch. I spent 2 hours and 40 minutes almost watching that goddamn movie.
So good.
So I really wanted to love it. I didn't hate Pulp Fiction, but it left me with the overall thoughts of, why do people love Quentin Tarantino so much?
And I asked that about Marvel movies. Why do people love Marvel movies
I understand
so much?
that. I get that 100%. I really do. But I would never say that people who love Pulp Fiction are sheeple or they're wrong.
And Tarantino doesn't say that. Scorsese definitely was attacking the public.
No, for sure.
But Tarantino wasn't.
No, he's not. But
how I feel about Tarantino is like if you're like, I don't know, Emmitt Smith, this famous 1990s running back, and going, hey, I'm the greatest. The running backs today suck. You when you're at that level, there's going to be some confidence and some pride that goes along with it. So for Tarantino tarnish.
I get
Abrams.
that to an extent, but this isn't a competition, man.
Yeah,
this is art. This is just putting stuff out in the world and seeing what happens.
To feel like you are a better artist, I can understand that.
But see, that in itself is arrogant and ignorant. There is no way to be a better artist. It's just like if I said my favorite movie was the Hey Arnold movie, and you said your favorite or the best movie. If I said the best movie ever made was the Hey Arnold movie, and you said no, it's The Godfather. We're both right.
Okay, here's the thing.
Neither one of us are wrong.
You are right in a very, shallow, my mom going to the movies, she's right, she likes what she's right. But if we are talking about film being an art form, not just entertainment, there's aesthetics that go along with art form.
Sure.
It's just like any other art form. Music.
I agree, but just like any other art form, they evolve. And this is what it has evolved into.
What is the aesthetics that have evolved? Because you could break down music. And again, music's a great example. You could say it's evolved, and you go back and listen to Bach and with counterpoint, and most people are like, oh, this is crap. And it's like, because you don't understand it. It's more complex than what you're used to today, because you're too busy listening to Nicki Minaj or whatever, and that has 3 notes.
But I could say that same thing, that if you were involved and you were listening to these movies and more involved in them, then you would be more touched by them. You would understand more why people like me really love them and have to go out and see them. But again, you're not listening to them.
No, you're right. So that's a great point, but I want you to see my point. Your point is that because let's keep talking about music, this very simple pop song reaches more people than a very complicated song. It's like, oh, well, that's so amazing, and that's how art's been elevated. But if you can take 99 musicians and have them, hey, can you listen to this pop song and play it? And every one of them's like, yeah, that's easy. And then it's like, okay, well, listen to this piece by Chopin and play it. And they're like, you got to see that Chopin's better than, or more elevated, more higher art form than today's music.
I think we just have to agree to disagree, because
that's how film is
That's
today.
like you trying to tell me a steak tastes better than peanut butter. Good for you, but peanut butter tastes better than a steak to me, right? You can't, we're all different. Or a better example, Shane, would be like if I gave you a jalapeno and I had a jalapeno, but to you it was like, whoa, bro, this is burning my mouth. And for me, I was like, whoa, this isn't even hot at all. I can't help how it feels in my mouth, Shane.
At some point, there are aesthetics to art, and you have to be able to judge art based on something. You can't just be Mad Max Thunderdome and, whoever, 2 art enters, 1 art leaves, and it's based on, what people feel today that are, honestly, it's all going down to me. Film, music. People don't understand art because they're not educating themselves. They listen to a Bach piece. They don't understand that, oh my goodness, he's majoring a 9th note there, where Nicki Minaj is just like, oh, I'm happy with these 3 notes.
But that's not what art is about to me. And I don't think that's what it should be about. It shouldn't, I say it all the time, when we've made films and I've showed them to people and they'll be like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh, you don't understand. We had to stay up until 4 a.m., wait for a train to come. It was snowing, a cop shot at us, all these things. And they look at me and they go, yeah, I don't really care. I just want to see what happens,
Yeah, and that's the audience, and that's what Scorsese was talking about, and that's why he's attacking them, because audiences don't care about art. They want entertainment. They want fast food. What's the most popular food in the world?
Right, but that goes to my point that it's evolved into this. Okay. This is what it is now.
But that's not a good thing. That's like saying...
That's not the debate, though.
That's like saying that Bobby Flay, a celebrity chef, is worse food than McDonald's because McDonald's outsells him. How can a McDonald's hamburger be better than a gourmet chef's cooking because more people
hold on.
like yourself...
Better for you tasting or better for you
tasting? Tasting.
Again, you can't say that because
I guarantee
maybe like my daughter or a kid, a child would go, oh, dude, I'll take a McDonald's burger over this every day.
It's because you don't know any better.
But that's not fair.
People don't have elevated taste palates because they're not going out to
in the 8 billion people out there in the world, you're telling me there's not one dude that would say, no, dude, I would take a McDonald's cheeseburger over any cheeseburger that's ever been made.
Whether it's taste or not, but you can't say, hey, this McDonald's burger is much better than this gourmet burger.
If you feel that way, you can say that.
Yes, you can say that, but you understand why that's a problem, right?
It's not a problem if you feel that way, right?
So, but
that's just like saying if I feel like I'm a woman inside, that's a problem, right?
No, I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm just saying that we are sliding down as a society into McDonald's.
We've always been doing that.
No, we haven't. We had elevated music. We had Chopin. We had Beethoven. Now we got, I don't know, whatever's out now that I can't stand listening to.
And see, I get that, and I
Charles
understand
Mingus,
that.
The artist, the jazz artist that poured every single thing into a note. Now artists just show up, like Tarantino says, to a producer that's like, here's the beat. I already produced it.
Sure.
I just need you to lay down tracks. That's art.
Sure. It's a form of it, right? I mean,
It's lazy.
I won't argue with that.
It's lazy.
I won't argue with that whatsoever. It may be lazy.
And people just don't know better because they've only had McDonald's. They don't know what good food is. It's like Shanna's cookies.
I think there's some truth.
There's a reason why
Don't you bring Shanna's cookies into
are
this.
better than what you get at Walmart. There is a reason why those cookies are better.
Sure, and I understand that. But there's also still a dude that's going to go, hey, man, Shanna's cookies are cool, but Oreos are way better.
Just because someone likes it better doesn't mean it's better art.
But it's better
they like
to
it better
them.
in their opinion.
But it's better to them, and that's all that matters.
We have to be able to judge art based on anything, and that's why we have aesthetics, and that's why we can judge them and go, okay, here's this piece of art.
What is the objective criteria? There has to be, independently empirical, measurable measurements to say, hey, like if we whipped our penises out on the table, I can go, well, mine's this long and yours is this long.
Well, they
so
are in art,
you win.
In film. It's composition, it's mise-en-scene, it's sound design. I mean, there's a lot of elements, and then when you stack them up,
but you could get a movie that has all of those and still is a great movie.
It could be, absolutely.
So I think
because if the artist has a powerful message to say, that will transcend the bad special effects or the bad production value.
I understand what you're saying.
What that artist has to say.
I get what you're saying.
It's like your favorite director today. Why I won't watch any of his movies because I'm dead scared of him. But I would put him as one of the top tier working directors today because he has something to say.
Right.
He is an artist.
Right.
And when you watch his films, you know that I'm listening because this isn't just to entertain me. This is actually elevating my mind to a higher level.
But Shane, can't art be both? Can't art be entertainment? And
the best art is
both of those things for sure. But they can be separately both too, right? Good art can just be something that's very entertaining. Right?
But it has to be more than entertaining to be art.
Like a comedian, right? This is still.
I mean, do you know what? I mean, I'm a huge comic book fan,
right?
And that's art.
Yeah,
but to say that this comic book is better than a Rembrandt.
I mean, again, I don't know where you put that in.
Neil Adams would be like, yeah, take the Rembrandt.
There's someone out there that will say, hey, dude, the Watchmen graphic novel is the best book ever written. Yeah, there's people out there that would say that.
Most people would choose comic books over a famous painting because they don't understand it. And again, that's not the painting's problem. That's not the artist's problem. It's our problem as an audience member.
Yeah, but
we just don't know
I can't help if I don't want to understand this, and I do want to understand that.
You don't want to. That is your fault because you don't want to.
No, I can't help how I feel though, right? And if
you can help being lazy.
Sure, but it isn't being lazy isn't the reason why I haven't understood why Rembrandt does what he does or why he did.
Because people don't go out, they don't watch Citizen Kane. They don't try to understand why Citizen Kane was so. And it doesn't have to be Citizen Kane. It could be anything. It could be Tarkovsky. It could be Kurosawa.
To me, that's not how art works. Art isn't about understanding. When I go to a museum, an art museum, and I'm looking at shit, I don't stop at everyone and sit there and read everything about it. And now you know what I do?
The best art does.
There's some stuff that I do. It stands out to key in particular, and all that stuff. Now I want to know more about it. And for me, that's what Marvel and some of these things have just been. They've been the thing in the museum that stands out to me. I mean, there's all these other things, and I'm not saying they all aren't great and don't have this great history and how they were made and all that. But I'm not gonna come up and read your thing if the thing down there looks more appetizing to me. But I get what you're saying. But my point is just that my biggest point and takeaway that I wanted from this is that This is just where we are. This is how it has
Sadly.
evolved. And in order
Not a good
for
thing.
these things to coexist, in order for Gaspar Noé and Robert Eggers to be able to make movies like The Northman and The Lighthouse, or anything like that, we have to have Avengers 8 or 4 or 5.
Not at all. Not
In order
at all.
for them to
If
be
we
in
had
theaters,
a
we do.
higher educated audience member that was
But
saying,
we
I
can't
want
do that.
Robert
We can't
Eggers.
educate our audience.
No, they should educate themselves. It's just like me. Whenever I got into movies, my favorite movies are Ghostbusters, Top Gun. I love Top Gun. But, I'm an 8-year-old kid.
It is not an
I
artist's
went
job
out-
to educate his audience. It
No,
is
no,
not
no,
his
it's
job.
not. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that we have lazy, unsophisticated audience members that
always
don't
had that.
want to go out.
We've always
That is
had
not
that.
true. That's why the new Hollywood in the 60s and 70s movement existed. That's why we have Spielberg.
we may have more
Lucas,
now, but we've
Francis
always
Ford
had
Coppola.
lazy
Nobody was going to
people.
give Spielberg money until audience started demanding it. Until they were like, "Hey, I want to see Easy Rider. I want to see more movies like Easy Rider." So studios started
And that
giving
same
millions
thing
of dollars.
is happening right now, but
No,
with
it's
Marvel and DC and
you're
comic
right.
book genre
Absolutely.
material.
It's the audience clamoring for this stuff. But that's my point, is that the audience has become less sophisticated over time. Because now all they want is popcorn movies. They don't want to think. They want the movie to think for them. They don't want any discovery. They don't want a 2001
Yeah,
ending.
sure.
They want the ending explained.
Yep.
They don't want
Yeah.
to have to think and
I
talk
agree with
for
that
years
100%. But
about
that's
what the
where we
movie's
are.
about.
That's
Sadly.
where it
Yes.
has led to.
Yes.
And so because of that,
That doesn't mean we should embrace that.
but here's why we have to embrace
No,
it.
we don't have to embrace.
Here-
That's
we
like saying,
do.
"Hey, this country's racist, so we might as well embrace that." No, we should be better.
This isn't racism. This isn't
That's
something.
like saying that's the same thing. I'm just saying that the things
That's
are
like saying, hey, we came out with a subscription service where people can go out and see movies all they want for $9.99 a month. Hey, we're going to probably lose some money in the beginning. So should we just not do it? No, because over time, eventually this is going to turn into something big and we are going to make money. It's no different than that in that comparison to me. This is something that, in order for, like I said, for Tarantino to get a movie to be put in theaters,
sadly. No, I understand.
we
your
have
point.
to have Avengers and
Yes,
Thor and those
sadly,
things.
because audience members aren't going to support
That's
the real
right.
artists.
That's right.
So you're saying that's a better world, that the
I'm not saying it's
audience
a better
member
world.
aren't
I'm just saying it's
supporting
the world
artists?
we're in. So if Tarantino wants
And
to
that's not
keep
the
seeing
world
his
we're
movies
in.
be in theater, what you do is again, you say those
No,
movies
you
aren't for
rock
me.
the boat.
But
You
I'm
let
glad
the
people
world
are spending
know.
money in the box office,
not
so
at
I
all.
can still put theater movies
If you
out.
don't like the world like we don't, because of a lot of especially in this country, you don't just sit back and go, "Oh, well, that person's going to be ignorant."
I get that one as a cause, but this is just
Art
people
is a
making art,
cause.
man.
Art is a
This is
cause.
just people. Yeah, but
There is nothing more
there's no
important in this
rights
world
to it. There's
besides
no-
love than art. It's love, then art, and then there's everything else.
Yeah, I understand, but I still think that I just think that if it was me and I was a creator, I would say, like I said, they're not for me, and I'm not a fan, but I'm glad they exist because. Again, my movie tomorrow wouldn't be coming out. There would be no theaters. Theaters wouldn't exist, guys. They would have died a decade ago if it wasn't
Just
for these
because
movies.
it's being supported doesn't make it right. I mean, meth is one of the most
Yes, but
popular
this isn't
drugs in
meth,
the world.
man.
That isn't.
This
Yes, it
isn't
is.
meth. No, it's not.
Today's
This is-
movies are meth.
They
are meaningless.
What people
They are
like,
pointless.
What people like, what
They're
they
there to
taste,
get
or
you
what
high.
they see. Their tastes are different, and that's always going to be evolving and changing. We could get to a point where we see the opposite thing happen at some point. I seen an article the other day where one of the big studio experts was predicting that movie theaters will actually be bigger than they've ever been in the next few years. And the reason is because of Netflix making that deal with putting Knives Out in theater. Because his prediction is over time, all these streamers that are blasting all this shit all over to the streaming services are going to start going, we got to put all these things in theaters. And so when they do, the theaters are going to be more overloaded with more content, more diverse stuff.
More content's not the solution. Knives Out isn't art.
Knives Out was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy
Just because,
Award.
okay, let's.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, do you know how many times we've had that conversation of Academy Award winners and how they hold up today?
I mean, what
I'd have to say 60% of their winners, looking back, are well deserved. Most of their winners, you look back and you're like, how did that piece of crap win?
Yeah,
because it was
man.
popular.
I don't know, man. When I look back, and I've done this with Trevor and Lucas before too, it's always easy to say that now, but then when you look back and you start looking at these movies, you're like, God.
I know your favorite movie is The Shining, right? One of them. How many Academy Awards did it win?
But see, what does that matter though? What's that mean?
You're the one that brought up the Academy Awards. You said Knives Out was an Academy Award winner, so obviously it's a better
Academy nominated movie.
Well, Shining wasn't, so obviously Knives Out is better than
That's
The Shining.
not what I was saying.
Knives Out better than Shining.
My point was, you just said it's not art, is what you said.
It's not art.
And my point was, well, it was nominated for an Academy Award.
I think even the director would be like, oh no, I didn't have anything to say with Knives Out. What is he saying? What am I supposed to learn
Shane, not
from
everything you're supposed to. Art is supposed to say something.
Yes, it does.
Jackson Pollock is a perfect example.
And to him, he knew he was saying something.
Bullshit.
He was speaking.
That's such bullshit.
Whether
he
if
can
it was
say whatever he wants.
or whatever it was.
He can Trevor his way through life if he wants and pretend that there's some sort of reason.
He's on the very low end of art.
But there's people out there, like I said, that would say, hey, dude, they got Pollock all through their house, and they're like, hey, man,
That's true.
Never been art better than Jackson Pollock, and there never will be. But that doesn't mean there has to be meaning to it, and that doesn't mean they're wrong or right.
Look, the first thing we learned in film school is you have to be able to, because this helps you in the field, because when you are communicative, you can get, your point across.
Sure.
But the whole idea was you have to be able to explain why you like something, why you like Knives Out. You can't just say, oh, it's cool, oh, it's flashy, because that doesn't tell me anything about it.
That's so bullshit. Shane, you know how many times in my life I felt shit and I couldn't explain it in one freaking second? Not even a word of why I felt it, when I felt it, how I was feeling my whole life I've had that, Shane. So have you, so have we all. So to say that I need to tell you why I enjoyed something or why, that's bullshit. You shouldn't have to tell somebody why you
should be able
something.
to. You should. I'm not saying you have to.
Maybe if you're a really intelligent person, that's but
why
but
can't we all be intelligent people?
For an average person, just to say, hey man, I liked it. That is.
So you say right there that the average film goer doesn't need to be intelligent, especially towards whatever they're watching.
No film goer needs to be intelligent.
I disagree. I think as a human race, we should all thrive to be more intelligent, to be better people.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
To me, that's what this is all about.
Right, but to expect, that that film needs to change your audience or deliver a message. Like I said, that's not the job of a film. It never has been and it never will be.
It's the job of art. Not every film is art.
But not all art is expected to do that. Some art does, but not all.
See, I think you're very generous with the term art. I consider very little art. Just because something exists doesn't make it art. Just because someone made it because they carved JD Hart's MS into a tree, then you could call that art. But is that really art?
It is, because it has to be. You know why? Because it's back to what you said. You said it yourself, is that there's levels to the game, right? And then so that's just art. Real low art then, right?
Very low art.
Exactly.
And that's how I feel about today's movies. It's JD loves MS. I know. That was like 40 minutes. I'm sorry.
Moving on. Lots of fun. Listen, Tarantino, shut the hell up. Don't make me come get you, you son of a bee.
The worst part about today is you have me defending Tarantino. I'm not even a Tarantino fan.
I know. I knew when you heard my Pulp Fiction take, you were going to be upset. But, man, it is what it is. Again, I couldn't help it. It's just how I felt. I wanted so badly to love it, and there was moments in there that I loved so much that I was trying to lie to myself and say.
I'm watching Pulp Fiction this weekend.
I tried to lie to myself and be like, "No, you like this, but I just didn't. I was just lying to myself. I didn't like it, man. But yeah, Quentin Tarantino, just shut up, dude. We just want you to shut up. Are you gonna make a 10th movie or not, man? That's all we care about. We've been hearing you want to make a Star Trek movie. Make something. I can see a Quentin Tarantino Marvel movie. That'd be cool. like a Ant-Man bank heist type movie or something. I don't know. Anyways, guys,
I don't think he could say all those N-words in a Marvel movie.
Oh yeah, right. We'd have to have the first canceled Marvel movie. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comment section below how much of an ass you think Quentin Tarantino is. For me, he's not very high on the list. Scorsese is on my shit list for sure. He will never be a guest on this show. I'm just joking, Martin. If you're out there listening, we will take you anytime, any place. You just tell us. But yeah, moving on, guys. We're gonna move on to our second main topic. So let us know in the comment section below.